Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our YouthLead Mentorship Initiatives Learning Event Series. My name is Fiza Abbasi, and I'm a youth specialist with Youth Power 2 Learning and Evaluation. I'd like to briefly introduce our presenters for today. We have Monica Ferry, Zunaira Ali, and Samantha Neakundi. They'll be discussing our content, which is mentorship in the digital age. Over to you all.
Thank you for the introduction, Fiza. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you're joining from. My name is Zunaira Ali, and we will be starting off with asking our guests on their experiences and what they have experienced seeking and also giving mentorship in the digital settings. So I'll get started with our first question, which is, what in your opinion, what do you think is one big pro and con of virtual mentorship?
Hi, Sunil. Thank you for the question. I consider one significant advantage of virtual mentorship the accessibility it provides. Due to its condition of being virtual, this kind of mentorship kind of like transcends geographical limits, making it easier for youth all around the world to connect with mentors from all over the world. So I guess that this accessibility opens up a huge pool of potential mentors, allowing mentees, for example, to connect and find someone with specific expertise and experience that they're seeking for this mentorship. Besides that, I think that one main drawback is the possibility of there being a lack of personal connection, which is more easily built through face-to-face interactions. For example, during a mentorship, building trust and rapport is essential, and nonverbal cues and body language are key components of this process, but they're a lot harder to interpret and to showcase on a virtual scenario. So that kind of makes it a bit difficult to actually build this rapport that is necessary during mentorships.
Yeah, that's so true. And thank you for sharing that, because like everything else, mentorship also has its advantages and limitations. So while we are moving from physical to online spaces, there are always going to be some challenges on the way. For the next one, what do you think are some of the tools that we can use to sort of like schedule time, work collaboratively, and share updates in a digital setting for both mentors and mentees?
Thanks for that question, Zanara, and hello, everyone. So I think we've been lucky enough to exist in an age where there's a plethora of resources that are so easily accessible to us. And so it's important to select the right communication and collaboration mentoring tool. And so there's all kinds of tools, from calendars and scheduling tools. So platforms like Calendly, Doodle, Google Calendar, and Outlook have kind of changed the way that mentors and mentees schedule their meetings and made it increasingly easier with different features like automated scheduling and time zone conversions, which is ideal for people who work across different time zones, and reminder notifications for upcoming meetings. And so calendar and scheduling tools have proven to be extremely efficient. Also collaboration-based tools or feedback tools. And so virtual whiteboards like Trello and Jamboard, which is also a personal favorite of mine, Padlet and MeisterTask, which enable this kind of real-time feedback mechanism for both mentors and mentees. And you can collaborate on different projects, track the progress that you're making with instant updates to both parties in real time. Platforms such as Trello use things like lists and cards to kind of organize tasks. And so everything is kind of organized and visually appealing, and it just makes it very ideal for, more specifically for project-based mentorship, where you need to keep tabs with the progress that you're making. Also, video conferencing platforms like Zoom, which we've all become very well acquainted with, which have kind of revolutionized remote communication. And so people even prefer Zoom meetings to in-person meetings due to things like convenience. And so that has also changed the digital mentorship landscape. And lastly, specialized mentorship platforms such as YouthLead, of course, others such as Mentorly or Mentor Crews kind of give you a tailored environment for both mentors and mentees to connect. So these platforms are super important if you're looking to set up a mentorship program for yourself or support an existing mentorship program. Some often provide matching algorithms, an abundance of resource libraries. And so if this is something that you're interested in and are curious about what this would look like, especially if you're starting your own mentorship journey, these platforms have proven to be super useful. So we have access to so many resources, and that's one thing that mentorship in a digital landscape has brought to us.
Those are very useful resources, Samantha. Thank you for sharing those. And I think no matter where you are in the world, most of these resources are free. So whenever you're using them, they can help out in seeking mentorship in virtual setting in different time zones. Monica, you talked about challenges in seeking virtual mentorship. What are some of the challenges in digital space when you're looking for mentorship and you are trying to connect with experts from all over the world, but then there are challenges that prevent you from being able to access that? So in your experience, what are some of the challenges that you've experienced?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the technical issues such as a poor connectivity or no connectivity at all need to be considered perhaps as the most important barriers to actually access this virtual mentorships. And then there are other technical issues such as low battery, computer glitches that not only interrupt and cut the virtual sessions, but they can also compromise the quality of the mentoring experience. I mentioned in the first question that building rapport, non-verbal cues, body language is very important. And when this kind of technical issues exist, then the whole quality of their experience is compromised. I would also mention difference of time zones in case you would like to connect with someone 10 hours ahead or behind you. So finding a time that actually works for both parties can be hard at times, but not impossible in case you both are really interested. And lastly, I would mention that if one of the parties does not really have much experience engaging in virtual relationships, there might be a lack of maybe seriousness or engagement at the start, which can of course improve with time.
Yeah, those are real life challenges that we've also seen people face, especially youth. And I agree with the point that if you don't have a lot of experience going digital in certain part of the world, that was a difficult transition, especially during the COVID lockdown. But now with all these resources, we're hoping that people have access to them and they're open to experimenting with them. But there's always a case of safety and how user-friendly those are. So how can online spaces be regulated to make them more user-friendly and safe for members who are seeking meaningful mentorship?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I think first and foremost, boundaries are a key aspect of any relationship, and virtual mentorship is no different. A mentor and mentee should always establish those clear guidelines covering things like communication, meetings, conduct, and people tend to think that this changes with the virtual mentorship, which isn't the case. And especially since mentorship focuses on a wide range of issues, not just a professional focus. Mentees should also be able to feel comfortable enough to share their personal challenges with their mentors. And so establishing these boundaries from the jump can help keep the mentorship program on track and focused. Second, I think privacy is a concern that should never be underestimated, especially given the sensitive nature of the kind of information, personal and professional, that's shared and exchanged between mentors and mentees. For example, YouthLead has a very extensive section on online safety tips, which includes things like limiting the amount of sensitive information that you're sharing and posting, how to go about reporting inappropriate behavior, and also just reading through the privacy policy of the different platforms that you're using. And so, like I mentioned earlier, platforms such as Mentorly have a privacy policy that outlines what kinds of personal data that they collect, and how that data is processed, and so on. I think it's also important to go over the codes of conduct within online spaces, or online mentorship communities. And this can include things like expected behavior, ethics, maybe consequences for misconduct, which then ensures that you're navigating a respectful and inclusive environment. It's also important to verify the accuracy and credibility of the resources shared within the platform that you're using. And so, like I mentioned earlier, we are lucky enough to be or exist in a space where there's an abundance of resources that we have at our fingertips, but it's very easy for misinformation to spread quickly. And so it's important to always fact check and validate the information that's shared to you on any platform. Especially because in traditional mentorship, we have often relied on like personal connections or recommendations, but in the online world, it's different, and it's important to establish trust through a different lens. And so just going through certain verification processes to confirm a mentor's expertise, background, and experience, which can help you feel more confident in how you navigate that platform. And lastly, accessibility is important, especially in today's age. Technology should not be a barrier to mentorship or the kind of resources you can access. And we need to make sure that mentorship spaces are tailored in a way that they are accessible to a diverse range of individuals, regardless of their background or physical abilities. And so this could include things like considering the design of the platform, the language options that are accessible, the accessibility features for people who might have certain issues. And so when everyone can access these spaces, it leads to a more kind of productive and inclusive interaction.
Those are indeed helpful. And as you said, that there is a lot of information online, but it's up to your discretion on how you verify it, because most of the credible platforms, they have their security policies. But when you're searching online, you may often run into misinformation or not so secure resources. So it's always a good idea to look into resources and then do sort of a due diligence, a security check, to make sure that your information is safe and you're safe while interacting with people online. So talking about the platforms, I would like to introduce our audience to one of our platforms, which is called YouthLead. I will share my screen so you can see, and then I will walk you along different resources that we have and how you can access them, and interact with other resources that people are adding to it. Please let me know if you have trouble seeing my screen at any point, so I can change that. Okay, so this is our platform. It's called YouthLead. It's a very youth-focused, made by youth for youth platform. It has a lot of resources. The platform is growing, so we keep adding to it. But in addition to our team or our youth groups, there is youth from all over the world who is part of it, and they keep adding to the resources and benefit from it as well. So I would just like to walk you through on how you can navigate these resources. So first of all, when you come on the home page, this is the interface that you interact with. This is open to everyone, and you can access any of these resources as you want. But for our mentorship specific resources, some of them are accessible to members only, but the membership is super easy. And what all you have to do is go to Join Youth Lead button, and then you come across this short form. You fill it up, and this is for verification purposes. So we have an idea of who our youth is and who is interacting with the content that we put out. So once you fill this form, you hit submit, and then our team receives it, and then you become a member of YouthLead platform. And once you're a member, you can log in, and then you'll have access to all the resources that are posted on the platform. And then you can also add to them, and I'll show you how you can do that in a minute. So for mentorship specific resources, on the second tab that says members, you go to the mentorship initiative, and it leads you to this page. So on this page, you will see different resources and our learning event series. So when you scroll down, you get an overview of what the initiative is. That gives you an idea of what we are doing and what we are trying to achieve in collaboration with youth. And in these three buttons, you can explore different resources that we've added to the library. So what happens is our team looks for mentorship resources, so you don't have to go look for them, and we verify the information, and we make sure that they're safe and the information is accurate, and then we add them into the mentorship resources library. So when you click on the first button, it redirects you to the library. And the library is not just limited to how you can use these resources. It's divided into different sections if you are a mentor. So mentors also need help. So there are resources for them on how they can guide their mentees better and make the most out of their relationship. So for being a mentor, these are the resources that are still growing, and we keep adding to them, and we encourage our members to add to them as well. But all of that is verified, and we check the information before posting it here. So if you're a mentor and you're looking for resources to do some self-development and also make the most out of that relationship, these resources can be helpful. If you're a mentee and you're looking for a mentor, so there are resources for you on how you can find a mentor. There are toolkits, there are tips, there are short blogs that you can access. So if you're looking for a mentor, this section helps you find on how you can find the right mentor, and then how you can connect with them. The next category is how you can learn more about mentorship. So as we talked about, mentorship is switching from in-person to digital spaces, and the ecosystem is always developing. So if you want to keep up to date with what mentorship is and how the landscape is changing, these are a few resources that you can look into. And these will help you understand the landscape better and how you can contribute to it through your resources. And then there are mentorship programs that are being offered all over the world by different organizations. So we look into those programs and add a few of them that we have seen successful in the past years, and we think that people can benefit from. So if you're looking for mentorship programs and you don't have access to in-person programs wherever you are, these are available on different platforms. Some of them are virtual, so you can access them from all over the world. So look into those. And if you have any trouble, you can also go back and learn more about how you can make the most of these programs in different categories. So these are some of the resources that I wanted to highlight and that you can access on the YouthLead platform. All you have to do is sign up, and then you can access all of them. And once you're a member, you can also add some resources. So for example, you live in a place where there are mentorship resources available that you would like to share with other people. And as I mentioned, this is a growing platform. We have youth from all over the world. So we do encourage people to share the resources and knowledge that they have. So if you want to add your resources and you're logged in to the platform, you can use this button to add a resource. And then the resource doesn't get posted straight away. It comes to our team, and then we do a security information check, and then we post it on your behalf, provided the information that you've given us. So these are some of the resources that other people have posted. It could be articles, it could be blogs, it could be toolkits, tips, anything that you think is helpful. You can add that by clicking the Add Your Resource button, and then you can fill out the information that's required. So that gives you an idea of what our resource library looks like. The library is constantly growing, and as we add resources to it and the members add resources to it, we hope that it will give access to more people from different regions. In addition to resources, we also have mentorship event series. So this event is part of the Mentorship Initiative event series. We do them once every quarter, and these are a few past events that we've done. When you click on them, you can access the recording and also the slide deck that has been used. So if you're interested in learning more about any of these topics, all of the recordings are available. Same for this event, the recordings will be available on the web platform in a couple of weeks. So if you are interested in sharing them with other people, you can access the recording and then share it around. So that's all from me on navigating the mentorship initiative resources on YouthLead platform. If you have any questions, I encourage you to drop them in the chat and we'll be happy to answer them. And I will pass it off to Samantha to share some more resources with us.
Yes, let me just share my screen. Just 1 second. Okay. Hoping everyone can see my screen. So just like Sunai already mentioned, once you are redirected to the YouthLead website, you are met with the steps that you can take if you're considering being a mentor, finding a mentor. And I'll focus on these two sections and hand over to Monica to expand on what to do when you want to learn about mentorship and the different mentorship programs that are available to you. And so like I think Monica mentioned earlier, when you're navigating digital resources, it can be difficult to know where to start, especially if you're just beginning a mentorship journey. And so it goes over, some of the resources go over what mentors wish their mentees knew, 10 tips to find and even keep the perfect mentor, the different mentors you need in your life, because it's usually not the case where one finds one mentor who kind of ticks all the boxes that you're looking for. And so you can find a professional for a mentor for your professional pursuits, for more personal pursuits. If you're an entrepreneur, finding someone who's more acquainted with that kind of mentorship. And even questions around whether you are mentorable as a mentee. And so there's a bunch of resources that are accessible to you if you are just starting out on your mentorship journey and what that could look like. And if you want more resources, you can just click on this link, which will also redirect you to a library of more resources around what that journey looked like. Secondly, finding a mentor. This can also be extremely daunting. Where do you start? Who do you speak to? What should you look for? And so this helps you find, cultivate, and sustain good mentorship mentorship relationships with between mentee and mentor. And so it goes over things like how to be a good mentee, what mentors wish their mentees knew, 10 tips to find the perfect mentor, the 5 types of mentors that you need in your life, the Mentoring Connector as well, which is a national database that connects you to different mentorship platforms and resources, and also articles on things like no one is talking to the mentees, so how mentees can prepare adequately to start their mentorship journey and make sure that you have all the resources and just prior arrangements before starting your mentorship journey with your mentor. So I will hand over to Monica to talk about learning about mentorship.
Yeah, thank you, Samantha. So in this third category, you can basically explore resources that delve into the concept and implementation of mentorship as a vital piece and component to positive youth development. You'll see when you're navigating the site in a lot of times the PYD, which is positive youth development. And here you can improve your knowledge through finding and evidence that discuss how mentorship plays a crucial role in assisting young individuals across a wide range of subjects, basically. And in the fourth category, the last category, you can basically explore a compilation of mentorship initiatives and mentoring networks across the globe. These are very, very insightful, and it's a very interesting list. It provides a wide range of different types of mentorship. I explained it before, I think at the beginning of the session, that because of accessibility, you as a mentor or mentee, you can access a lot of different kinds of mentorship types. So you can find some of those in this list. I think just to end explaining this fourth component, I would just repeat that you as a user can add more resources to this list at the time that you become a part of the network of YouthLead. So if you have been part of an interesting mentorship program, or you have a mentorship program your own, you can add these here. So the opportunity becomes available to also other youth that might become interested as well.
Thank you so much, both Monica and Samantha. Samantha, do you have anything to add to the resources?
I think we've covered the 4 key points.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of sharing resources from our side, and we are happy to answer any questions from the audience if you have any. But just to make sure that you have access to the platform, we'll be sharing those links in the chat so you can connect and explore for yourself. Just keep in mind that the library is growing, and as we add more resources to it, we are trying to stay up to date with the changing cultures and how that's affecting the mentor-mentee relationship. So look for audience questions, but in the meantime, what advice would you give to young people who may feel overwhelmed by the abundance of online mentorship resources and options? And how can young people navigate and choose the most suitable ones for their personal and career development? How can they make informed choices and stay motivated in their mentorship journeys?
I can maybe go for, okay, Monica, do you want to go ahead?
So in the first one, I would just say that, for example, we just went through the list. of resources available within the YouthLead site. There's a lot of other resources, but as you can see and you can kind of discover with the title, there's several types of mentorships that are either focused on business or focused on let's say women empowerment, health, and other diverse development topics. So basically you would just focus on the type of mentorship and the topic that you're interested in. Sam, I don't know if you would like to go over the rest.
Yeah, definitely. Focusing on the kind of mentorship that you're interested in, like Monica said. I also think just as a way to make sure you're not overwhelmed by the abundance of resources. If you know that you're interested in a particular sector or industry, mentorship can look different, especially now that we're kind of moving from kind of traditional understandings of what mentorship is. And so I would say intentionally putting yourself in certain spaces where you know that you're going to kind of meet and network or surround yourself with people who have shared interests. And so that helps you kind of streamline the kind of, I suppose, resources that are available to you or made available to you, as opposed to kind of being in a wider resource pool and you're not able to pick and focus on one element that you want to pursue your mentorship journey on. So that's what I would also add.
Those are certainly helpful, especially when you are new into seeking mentorship. There are so many resources that it can feel overwhelming. So just having clear goals and ideas of what you want and where you want to start with, that helps you figure out the topics that you should look more into.
Yeah, I think there's also an interesting question on how to balance feedback and support in mentorship styles. So I don't know if Samantha and Tamara would agree on me with this, and this is a personal view, but I feel that mentorship is actually a really personal relationship. Either it is in a professional setting, but you have to um, be like kind of similar to the mentee or the mentor that you're talking to, in the sense that there might be instances where you do not really connect or feel a connection with the other person. So I've always kind of related it to going to a first session with a therapist or a psychologist. If there's no connection, if you're not feeling it, then it's not necessary for you to force it. And there's a lot of opportunities available and a lot of people with you can actually connect with that. I feel it's really important for you to continue looking for a person that you can actually connect, because that's going to be a lot more engaging. It's going to be a lot more interesting for you and rewarding at the end than to actually kind of like forcing a relationship. So don't feel like it's gonna fail, or don't feel it as a failure in case you don't connect to the other person across the screen.
Yeah, that's extremely helpful, because with mentorship, you're putting a lot of interest in someone who has more experience than you, and then you're looking for guidance on how to advance in your career or something that you have developed. So if you don't have that trust factor with them and you don't feel like you can manage the feedback that comes from both parties, then it's better to keep looking and look for options in other people. Okay, and do you feel there are generational differences in how individuals perceive and engage in virtual mentorship, especially now that the digital ecosystem looks a lot different than it did maybe 5 years ago? What are some of the generational differences that you think can become a hurdle in that? And how can we bridge that potential gap in technology adoption and usage?
Perhaps I can take on that question.
Mhm.
In terms of there being a generational gap, I think this also goes back to something I had mentioned earlier about the mentorship landscape changing with today's context and just how fast the world is developing. And so what we are seeing more of is people being more open to kind of peer-to-peer feedback and even things such as reverse mentorship, which is something that was practically kind of unheard of um, back in the day, where you have a younger person mentoring an older person. And so I think cross-generational or intergenerational gaps always emerge when you're dealing with people who are perhaps far more experienced in their field or aren't or didn't grow up in the kind of, I guess, market economy that younger people are growing up in now. And so there might be a gap or maybe a lack of more context-specific knowledge from their end. And in terms of how to kind of navigate that, what has been exciting recently is that people who I guess are older do acknowledge that they grew up at a different time when things were slightly different. And so there is a general kind of openness to tailoring their feedback and their approach and adapting their mentoring style and feedback in a way that meets the individual needs or preferences of a younger, I guess, generation as a way to bridge that gap. And while this isn't something that happens overnight, and it's something that may require guidance or more direct guidance, some people are definitely readapting their approach to kind of be in touch with what today's generation needs. And I'm always for the idea of seeking feedback from both the mentee and the mentor, and how you can encourage your mentee or mentor to kind of readapt their approach that's in a way that's more specific to today's demands and challenges. And so mentorship is a two-way street, and it only works if both parties are committed to each other and how they can benefit each other. And so I think those are two ways that that can be kind of navigated. I don't know if Monica has anything to add to that.
No, I think you framed it perfectly.
And in extension to that question, we have an audience question that what advice can you give to existing gender tech gaps, as many young women have been left out in tech usage?
I can jump in, and then Samantha can add. So that's actually a really interesting question. I think that bridging gender tech gaps is a complex and long-term effort that requires the involvement and participation of every sector of a lot of stakeholders, and it is not something that's going to be achieved from one day to another. I think there's a lot of efforts already going on. YouthLead itself, we promote this type of um, uh, increased participation of women in every aspect, not only in the digital space, but I think that providing a focus and kind of like also promoting and looking for more engagement in mentorships that are perhaps women to women, woman to girl, is very interesting. I think that I know there's a lot of initiatives, and we saw them in the list that we presented. There's several initiatives that are focused on gender and women empowerment. So I think that actually getting these initiatives to become available to more people, especially obviously women, is very important.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what Monica said. There's numerous initiatives today that encourage the participation of women, especially in tech. But I also think this is something that, like Monica mentioned at the very beginning, it's a long-term process. And so it's something that should start at an early age. And for a lot of us who grew up in the more kind of conservative contexts, I grew up knowing that, we couldn't pursue STEM or STEM subjects or STEM related things. And that was only for boys. And so that was, and it's still the case in a lot of our like education backgrounds. And so I think it starts at a very structural level where schools, parents, communities, and all stakeholders should provide equal support for everyone to pursue tech and STEM. And also I came across other platforms such as Girls Who Code. So I think, like Monica said, there's an increasing number of initiatives that promote more gender inclusivity in tech, which is great to see. And so younger girls or women have more role models to look up to, which might not have been the case previously. And so this increased visibility and increase of initiatives, like Monica said, is great to see. And I hope it materializes into, more structural change.
Yeah, that's very true in terms of how it starts. It also depends on cultural barriers and boundaries and these systems that you grew up in. But there are a lot of efforts being made to bridge that gap and bring more people into the space. Thank you so much both for your insights and sharing your experiences. I hope these were helpful to our audience and they learned a lot today. I will hand it back to Fiza for closing and sharing some more resources.
Thank you, Zanera, Samantha, and Monica for such a rich discussion and collaborating with us on this event. If you all enjoyed this as much as I did, the great news is there are more events on the horizon. The YouthLead Mentorship Initiative will continue to host learning events such as this one every quarter as we explore different aspects of mentorship and learn and grow together. Next slide, Ben, please. I encourage you all to check back regularly to learn more about upcoming events, featured resources, and more about mentorship. As our three presenters talked about today, the YouthLead Mentorship Initiative is always looking for more resources for our members. We really encourage you to come and join YouthLead and post resources that you think would be helpful to other members and our youth networks. We invite all our YouthLead members to share feedback with us about the page, recommended resources, or information about mentorship programs and networks that you have participated in and would like to share with the community. Also, invite your friends and colleagues to explore this page. At the bottom of the slide, there's an email address that will connect you with the YouthLead team so we can respond to any questions or comments that you may have. Thank you all again for joining today.